What's going on, Falcon fan? This your boy Ricardo coming back at you with another video. So, guys, we're gonna talk about the Atlanta Falcons defense. Right? We already seen the aftermath of the NFL draft. We've seen undrafted free agents they brought in, and we're gonna talk about the this new look that Atlanta Falcons is going to have on defense. Yes, um, we have some returning pieces, but we also have some new pieces too. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what we heard from the coaching staff and how this defense can be different and how it could be potentially better this year. And letting guys do what they do best. Um, just bringing a little bit more different mindset to the defense. We know Raheem Morris definitely still going to have his input in, but bringing these, the new coach and Jeff Albrecht, Nate Ali, and Mike Rutenberg, all those guys coming in, just getting a different look on it, on what this defense could potentially look like. And I know I'm really excited about it. I know you guys are excited about it as well. And we're going to definitely talk about that today. Um, just talk about how different this defense can look, and let's geek out a little bit about some football. That's what I want to do today. I haven't talked to you guys in a while, so I'm definitely ready to talk about some Falcons football again today. With that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you never drop another video. Please hit the like button. So I know you guys are here to talk about, then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come hear me talk about, that's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So we're going to get right into it. Georgia Texas boy said, well, Ricondo and Falcons family, new era. Let's fucking go. Atlanta Falcons will rise in 2025 and beyond. Let's hope so, man. I'm excited just like you. So let's get into it, guys. We're going to talk about this new defense and the excitement that we starting to hear because, be honest with you, before the draft, let's just put it out there. Before the draft, we had really no kind of, you know, positive vibes, right? We kind of, they was kind of mid in free agency because of the salary cap situation and things like that, and we just couldn't really, we just weren't feeling that good vibes about what this Falcon team can do. But after the draft, and listening to the coaches and things like this, I think it's a different kind of you know vibe going around the Falcon fan base now, because they nailed the draft. We know that. And then you add those pieces. I talked about in my last video the depth that they added to this defense. So it's a little different, and I like it. And so we're going to talk about it today. And the first thing we're going to talk about the new look defense. And and the reason it's new, let's just be honest. Last year, the Atlanta Falcons, six starters that started the team last year is not even here anymore. All these six guys are gone, right? And I'm talking about Matthew Judon. We're talking about Lorenzo Carter. We talk about Justin Simmons. Talk about Grady Jarrett, of course, Mr. Falcon. We talk about Nate Landman. We talk about Eddie Goldman. All those guys started for the Atlanta Falcons, right? You guys recall. So when you're looking at the six guys that was here last year, and now we're going to have new faces, guys that's going to be taking their spots, and it's going to be totally different. What this defense is going to look like. And I have said this on numerous occasions is that it's going to be a young defense, right? It's really going to be young. So we got to, you know, get ready for that, right? It doesn't mean it's going to be bad as anything. Just like when I say young, these guys, haven't had that experience to be a full time starter and be counted on play in and play out, to deliver, right? But this their opportunity. This is why they come in the league. This is why they were drafted. This is opportunity to make a name for themselves. I mean, just like a Grady Jarrett did in 2015 when he got drafted in the fifth round, right? You know, then history's written. 10 years later, he was still a Falcon. So, it doesn't matter, when you start, but when you do get your opportunity, and this is the opportunity for these guys. So, just looking at some of the new starters that's going to be here, some returning, right? But they're going to take a starting role here now. So first of all, I still think Leonard Floyd is going to start. I know we drafted, um, James Pitts Jr. and Jalen Walker in the first round, but I still think to start the season, I think Leonard Floyd is going to probably be starting on one of the other sides. Now on the other side, that's where you do have a question. Is it going to be Evan Katie? Is it going to be JPJ, or is it going to be Jalen Walker? One of those guys is probably going to start on the other side. I just feel that way. Um, and then of course taking over for Grady is going to be Rook or Aurora. He got big shoes to fill. That's why they moved up in the draft last year to get him in the second round. So that's where he's going to be. Now the safety on the other side of Jesse Bates, I think it's going to either be Fuller or Watts. Right? We don't know who one of those guys is going to start, but that's why competition out of buy. I don't want to forget about DeMarco Hellams as well. Of course, he's coming back, but one of those guys is going to be starting on the other side of Jesse Bates, Fuller, Watts, or Helms. We'll just have to see. Of course, at the nickel position, of course, I always say nickel's a starter, and so that's what I'm looking at. And I think it's going to be either um, Alford, Bowman, or it's going to be Phillips. One of those guys is going to actually start. It's just the way it is. Um, we'll see what happens, and then Zach Harrison is going to start. That'll be the new starter. Of course, David Amiyata is going to be the other guy that's there, but I'm just talking about starters right now. Um, and so those could be potential new starters for this team. So you're looking at the defense that's bringing in six new starters. And if you guys recalled, right, when I came in, I said about 35 to 40% defensive turnover, and that's where we have now. Leighton Hammond started as well at linebacker, so I don't know if it's going to be Troy Anderson starting back there or Divine Diablo. One of those guys is going to start at linebacker. But you looking at the change in the defensive starters, just give you an example how this defense is going to look different this year, right? So that's one of the biggest changes when you're looking at the new defense is the personnel is going to change, right? Now you got the staples there. You got AJ. You still got Jesse. Mike Hughes played a really good season. Had a good season last year. He's going to be back. Like I said, David Amiyata is still going to be there, and Caden Ellis, right? Another guy is a rising star for the Atlanta Falcons is going to be there as well. So we do have some returning players that really contributed to the team last year, right? So not only are we having new guys, but the guys that returning are guys that gonna really bring some dividends to this team. So that's what I like about it. So of course Jesse, AJ, Mike Hughes really played solid. David Amiyata, he needs to get back to form. He had 2 seasons ago. We'll talk about that too just a minute. We started talking about some of the changes on this defense. But guys like Rook gonna need to step up. Zach Harrison, it's his time. Evan Katie is in a contract year, so we know that he's going to be huge. And then Leonard Floyd just keep being consistent like he's been the last 5 seasons, and we could see some really, more production, with this new look defense. And James says, what do you think about the undrafted free agent, both offensive and defensive? Yeah, be honest with you, James, I like who they brought in. I like Joshua Gray because I believe he can actually bring in that competition. A guy who played 4 years in Oregon State, come in and played all over the line, especially interior, and could be potentially, competition for Ryan Newsel at center, right? We're talking about the offense side. Nick Nash, of course, we know about him. Triple Crown at San Jose State coming in. I think he opportunity to make the team. You go to the defensive side of the ball, Kobe Bryant, right? Guy that was All-American in Big 12, takes a lot of risk. That's probably why, and kind of light as well, probably why he didn't get, much recognition he had, but the guy's a playmaker, a ball hawk, so I like him. I like Simeon Barrow from the Miami Hurricanes as well. I think that guy, I just like the way he get up the field. I like the way he get skinny, make himself, trying to put pressure on the quarterback, trying to get in the backfield to disrupt plays. I like that, especially when you look at the kind of offense that Atlanta Falcons trying to run this year. So I like the way he really moves. So I like a lot of the signings they got. The tight end out of South Carolina. Don't know if he'll be able to make the squad because they're kind of deep at the tight end position. But when you're looking at the undrafted guys, they drafted quality guys. I mean, they signed quality guys that could definitely, in my opinion, be part of that 16-man practice squad. Which now, when you're looking at the way that the league is set up, some of those guys on the practice squad is probably going to get the opportunity to play on Sunday as well. So that's what I think about the undrafted guys. Um, all right, so another thing about the new look defense, guys, is we got three new defensive coaches, right? And I think this is right the biggest thing. The personnel is one thing. We talked about the changes of some of the starters that's not going to be here anymore, and the new starters coming in taking those spots. Guys got to step up, like Rook and Harrison, and all those guys got to definitely step up. But the new defensive coaches we got, of course, our defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich, Jack's son, right? We know definitely who Jeff Ulbrich is now because of Jack's. Um, his dad is the defensive coordinator for Atlanta Falcons, and he's coming in. Spent his last years, with the New York Jets, which they had a top five defense all those years when he was there. Um, so bringing that kind of style play mixture in with what Raheem Morris like to do, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they mesh these two things up. Of course, he's familiar with Raheem up under the Dan Quinn scheme, right? Looking at that, mixed with that Dick Fangio scheme as well. So a lot of little mixing in going to be interesting to see. But bringing in Jeff Ulbrich, um, I like so far. I like what I've been hearing from him and what his plans and his schemes, what he think about deploying his players on defense. I really like it. You look at the new defensive line coach, Nate Ali. I know last time I kept saying Kevin Ali. Sorry about that, but Nate Ali coming in, his enthusiasm that he brings. Just listening to him talk about defensive front, get everybody fired up, and the way he talking about attack, get out the ball. Um, I just can't imagine that he won't settle. He's not going to settle for something that's not bringing it every game. That's what I like about it. I really like about it. And then Raheem Morris also added Mike Rutenberg, the defensive pass game coordinator. So bringing a little bit that in to go back, work back there with Jerry Gray in the passing game, again making sure that we all locked in because one thing we got to know is the passing game. The the defensive backfield and that front seven needs to be in unison when it comes to pass rush and getting the ball back. That's what we're talking about. So I like Mike Rutenberg coming in. The only thing that I really think about when I think about new defense is being able to stop the run. The run is going to be the key, right? But looking at this new defense, you're talking about six new starters. Judon's gone, Carter's gone, Simmons gone, Grady's gone, Lamb gone, Goldman's gone. All those guys are gone. Bringing in Floyd, you're going to bring in one of those dynamic pass rushers we just drafted, or Army Ebiketie, Root Roro. You'll bring in Fuller Watts, so Helm's going to be beside Jesse Bates. Bowman, Alford, or Phillips, one of those guys are going to be our nickel. And then we got Zach Harrison coming in the other side. And to bring up the linebacker position is going to be the Divine Diablo, or Troy Anderson, one of those guys. So that's your new look defense. Three new defensive coaches, and that's your new look defense. So guys, let me know what you think about that. It's going to be different. So we need to be ready. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad right now, but positive vibes. That's what I'm feeling right now based off the new look, the way it's going to look. All right, let's break down this defense a little bit. And we're definitely going to start with the pass rush, right? So when you're talking about pass rush, right, of course, we saw that the Atlanta Falcons emphasized that really, they doubled down. They doubled down last year on quarterbacks. Guess what? They doubled down this year on the pass rush, right? Bringing in Jalen Walker, who I don't think they thought was going to be there on the board at the time, and then also bringing in James Pierce Jr., who I think they probably were going to pick at number 15. So, you know, people could criticize the trading back in the first all they want, but Atlanta Falcons definitely had a conviction on James Pierce Jr. I really believe he was going to be the guy at number 15, but Jalen Walker just fell in their lap. So, you know, getting both of those guys is, like I said, man, they killed the draft. I don't care what nobody say, they nailed the draft. This was a big need that we've been talking about for probably the last 10 years. The Atlanta Falcons doubled down on it, and I really believe they got two really good defenders that's going to be able to get after the pass rusher, and they're different. They're not the same body type. They don't play the same, and I think it's going to bode well for what the Atlanta Falcons is going to try to bring this to the table this year. So this pass rush is going to be really, really good, in my opinion. You know, it might take a little time for these young guys to get going, but once they do, I think they're going to wreak havoc. Let's look at some of these comments real quick before we keep going. I bet Anderson will not stay healthy. That's been his issue the whole this whole career, man. That's why they had to bring in some competition there. So Devon Diablo, you know, they had to bring in some speed in out there. Troy Anderson has that speed, but like you said, he can't stay healthy. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. But he's going into his contract year as well. So we'll see what about Troy Anderson. You have they'll be like, this defense is going to be attack, attack, attack. Definitely going to talk about it in just a minute. You are right. Um, I think Troy may be cut before the season starts. I don't see him being cut. I think that what he brings to the table, and really the only thing that's really the knock on Troy Anderson is health, right? So he's not a bad player. So if he can stay healthy, he's going to be on this team because he definitely can contribute. You've seen the flashes. We have seen the flashes out of Troy Anderson, some of the plays he have made. So, you know, just being healthy is really what he needs to do, and hopefully this year is going to be this year. I do agree with you. I could see that his role might change a little bit because he can't be trusted, but he needs to stay on the field, man. That's just what the bottom line is. Raymond says, "What's happening, Racondo?" I agree totally with you. The front and the back end have to complement each other. Yes, 100%. Um, he brings special teams. Who you talking about, Troy? Yes. If you look at what I mean, you remember his first year, he blocked the punt. He had an interception return for pick six last year. So Troy Anderson, if he's healthy, I mean the way he tracked down Justin Fields, sideline to sideline, you know, he's got the traits, man. He just got to stay healthy, and time is running out on him. So Troy Anderson, this is a big year for him. And guys, I am going to do my player series that I always do every year. So stand by for that. It's coming up in the upcoming weeks. We're going to go and talk about all these players. And Troy Anderson definitely be one of those guys we're going to talk about. But when you talking about the pass rush, I just talked about those two studs they brought in. Armor Ebiketie, right? We talking about Armor Ebiketie. He started showing flashes towards the end of the season, right? This is a huge year for him, right? Because he's trying to get paid, right? And if he don't get paid by the Falcons, he's gonna try to get paid by somebody. So this is a huge season for Armor Ebiketie. Any way you cook it, if you're trying to get a contract, do it for us, right? Even if we don't sign you, play hard and show the league what you'll be able to do. So this is a huge year for Armor Ebiketie, right? Um, we kind of know what Leonard Floyd is going to bring us the last 5 seasons, at least 8 sacks. So if he can just be consistent with that, we'll take that, man. We'll take that. I like Leonard Floyd because his leadership is going to bring dividends to especially a guy like James Pierce. Because they got the same body style, same build a little bit. Kind of give him some tips, how to get to the passer. So I like Leonard Floyd being there, that veteran present. But those four guys in particular, Floyd, AK, JPJ, and Walker, is going to be huge. I don't want to forget about Braylon Trice. Hopefully he be healthy by training camp, right? Because that ACL take you a while to come back. But that guy is going to bring dividends too. Just don't know yet what it's going to look like because we didn't get a chance to see him. So and then D'Angelo Malone is the outside man looking in. That's six outside linebackers, right? I have to go back and look. I can't recall how many we kept last year, but that's six outside linebackers. I'm not sure if they're going to keep all six of those guys, but I like that rotation. When you got Floyd, you got Katie, you got JPJ, you got Jalen Walker, you got Braylon Trice, you got D'Angelo Malone. Man, you just see you can keep fresh bodies out there. Keep fresh bodies out there. Keep fresh bodies out there. Right? We don't want to forget about the inside pressure as well. You got David Armayata, guy that I think can get back to form. He's a really good interior pass rush um, guy himself as defensive tackle. Rook Roro is going to be huge. You listen to what Nate Ali saying, him being able to slip that B gap to get upfield, utilizing his length that he had, what they really like for him, and he showed flashes in the limited time that he got to play. So it's going to be really huge for Rook to take that next step, right? Because like I said, Grady's gone. We need Rook to be able to live up to that second round pick where the Atlanta Falcons went up and had conviction to get him. Where a lot of players that some people thought should have went higher than Rook, right? So they had conviction to get him. So hopefully he can show, what the Atlanta Falcons, front office seen when they went up and got him last year in the draft. So that's what we need to see from Rook Warrior. Don't want to forget about Morgan Fox. I think that was a huge signing for the Atlanta Falcons. A veteran guy that's been in the league a long time, and he just produced, right? This is a guy that get limited snaps, but when he do get out there, he make plays, man. He really do. I think his veteran presence is going to definitely help a guy like Rook Roro and Brandon Dorless, even Zach Harrison as well. So I like, the addition of Morgan Fox coming in, and then bringing back Contavious Street was huge as well. A guy that, a couple of years ago when Grady went down, he came in and he had a pretty good, season before he took an injury himself. But we like what Contavious Street brought to the table. So, all those guys working in unison was going to help with this pass rush. That's what I'm saying. The inside and those guys bringing the heat from the outside, right? I can't wait to see how they're gonna pull this thing off. You listen to Nate Ali, he's talking about attack, right? Just like Jay Black was saying, getting up the field, going after the quarterback, and on the way, making sure you stop the run, right? That's what we got to do. Now, if you look at some defenses that when we started talking about this, you like the upfield. You go back to defensive coordinator a couple seasons ago with Nelson, right? Ryan Nielsen. Remember he came in and I thought the defense played really good up under him. I really do. It was more of the attack, getting up the field, being aggressive. If you go back to see how the New Orleans Aints play, right? They play a lot of man. They lose out their front four, and they play a lot of coverage, right? That's what they like to do. That's what I can kind of envision what Jeff Albrecht is going to do. But I think it's going to be a mixture of what Raheem Morris like to do. We know Raheem Morris like to play a lot of zone as well. So it's going to be interesting to see that attack, with that front four plus the outside linebackers coming in. I can't wait to see how this thing look. But listening to Nate Ali, he's going to have those defensive linemen going upfield, right? It's no playing no gaps. Just get off the ball, get to the quarterback, and like I said, you can stop the run on the way. You want to play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. That's what you're trying to do. And we want guys like David, like Rook, like Harrison, right, to get up the field and wreak havoc like they can do, right? And then you got guys, filling on the outsides and Pierce Jr. coming off that edge, right? That relentless motor that Jalen Walker displays, every time he rushes the passer, right? When you watch Jalen Walker rush the passer, it seemed like that's what he meant to do, right? We know Kirby played him all over the field, at linebacker, going out and going out in coverage and things like that. But it seemed like he's meant to rush the passers, man. It's just what it seemed like he meant to do. And I love the idea of the Atlanta Falcons starting him out in the pass rush room. So I like it, right? So we talking about this new look defense. The pass rush is definitely going to be the key, and I think with this mixture of guys, the two new guys that we brought in, with the guys that we brought in free agency, plus bringing a guy like Braylon Trice back to the fold, Armor Ebiketie going into a contract year. I think this is the year that we can finally say the Atlanta Falcons can get out the out of the 30s or even lower in pass rush rankings, man. Like sacks, we need to get out of that. We've been saying this for years, but I think this could be the year we able to do that. And honestly, I'm just gonna be honest with you. If the Atlanta Falcons can't, it's got to do with coaching. I don't believe that. I think the talent is there this year. I really believe the talent is there. They got enough guys that can get after the quarterback. Where if it don't happen, man, to me it's got to be the coaching. I'm just keeping it real with you. What's going on, T. Terry? Um, it's got to be the coaching. Jay Black said Pierce is going to be a monster. Yeah, man. Anybody that come off the edge that fast, running 4.47 with that length, you know, I can't wait to see him play. I can't wait to see him play. Him and then Jalen Walker, man. Like I said, like just being the guy. We just want you to go after the quarterback, man. Just imagine if that's all he did. He with Georgia instead of playing all those other different positions, man. Imagine what his sack numbers would have been. So I can't wait. But listening to Nate Ali, it really got me really hyped about this defensive front seven, and I can't wait to see what it looks like. And I hope you guys can too. All right. The next thing is the linebacker play. So we just talked about Troy Anderson, right? And I think this is this is going to be huge for us, right? Divine Diablo and Troy Anderson. I think for me is what the key is. Those two guys, right? Because I'm not worried about Kate Ellis, right? And I should have added Kate Ellis to the pass rush because he's definitely going to be part of that, right? That's one of his superpowers. On the Falcons, he led the team in pressures last year, from that linebacker spot. So, Kate Ellis, we're going to put him part of the pass rush. And when I talk about linebackers, I'm talking about J.D. Bertrand, I'm talking about Troy Anderson, and I'm talking about Divine Diablo. Those three guys, right? Kate Ellis, yes, he's going to be our starting linebacker, but I'm adding him to the pass rush because I think he's going to be a dynamic there as well. But when I talk about, Troy Anderson and Divine Diablo in particular, both of those guys can play in space because they can run sideline to sideline because of their speed factor that they got. You got to forget Divine Diablo, the guy that plays safety at Virginia Tech, coming in. So he has the experience of playing in coverage already. Troy Anderson has the tools to play in coverage. Like I said, just can't be healthy enough. We got to see him more and more and see, can he live up to that potential? But those guys playing sideline to sideline, the speed along on this defense, adding those guys back, Troy Anderson and Diablo, right? That's going to pay big dividends. You end up Jane Pierce and Jalen Walker. The speed on this defense is a lot better as well. Just going to put it out there. The speed, right? The overall speed of this team, right? When teams play Atlanta Falcons, they're going to say that defense is fast. That's what we want to see. We want to say they fast, and I'm going to say it, guys, and they physical, right? They fast and physical. I know we hate them buzzwords that Dan Quinn lived about them, but I'm just telling you, that's what they're gonna. We want them to say they fast because they should be fast, right? With the personnel they have, and then we need them to be physical. They need to be able to field this Atlanta Falcons defense. That's what we want them to feel. So fast and physical. We bringing the mantra back. Let's do it. Let's do it. What the heck? We went to the Super Bowl with that mantra. All right. Imagine Walker rushing from the inside and Pierce from the outside. Both of them on the field is on fire, yes, man. And then add Caden Ellis to that as well. I'm just, man, I just think it's going to be something really special to behold. I can't wait. I can't wait. But looking at a linebacker play, guys, I think this is going to be really huge, right? Being able to have these guys play in space, you know, um, coming downhill, helping in the run game, it's going to be huge. We want to be able to get this pass rush going. Going back to the last talk about the pass rush, we got to be able to stop the run, and I think the linebacker play is going to be really, vital to that for the Atlanta Falcons. For when these guys are getting upfield, where Nate Ali want them to do, the defensive line, the linebackers need to come back in and fill those holes and make the plays, right? So the linebacker play is going to be huge. We really didn't address the linebacker. I know we picked up Jalen Walker, but they already said he's going to start out, rushing the quarterback on the edge. So Divine Diablo, J.D. Bertrand, and Trey Anderson, it's got to be PT peers, man. They got to be big time players. That's what they got to do. And they need to be able to utilize the traits that they have, their speed, like I said, sideline to sideline, being able to read and react fast, come downhill, being able to stop the run, so we can allow our pass rush to start to do what it does best. That's what we need to see. That's what we want to see from our linebackers. And those three guys are hopefully, be able to contribute this year to help this team out. All right. Next thing is our defensive backfield, right? The defensive back play. Well, if you look at this whole aggressive attack defense, um, that this Atlanta Falcons trying to deploy this year, when you talking about aggressive, right? You talking about attack. You talking about playmakers, and the Atlanta Falcons got bona fide playmakers all over the defensive backfield. I mean, it's just that's just what it is, guys. AJ Terrell, started to make plays last year. You saw the plays he was starting to make last year. Mike Hughes, man, it's underrated the play that he had last year. His tackling was really, really good last year, and he didn't get destroyed in the passing game. So I really like what we seen from Mike Hughes last year. But the the two guys that the Atlanta Falcons was able to get in the draft, right? We talking about two seniors, right? So they're not young. They come in. I think these guys can contribute right away because they played 4 years in college, right? And their superpowers or what they really do really well is getting the ball, aggressive, right? Being there willing to take chances, trying to get the ball back to the offense. We got three guys now in the backfield, defensive backfield that loves to do it. They really do. Um, you know, we talking about Billy Bowman and Xavier Watts. Both of those guys, 24 interceptions between them. Then you add Jesse Bates, over 30 interceptions that he got, and then I see here James James talking about Kobe Bryant is another guy that's a playmaker, right? So you add all these playmakers to this defense, and that's the part of the aggressiveness, right? You're gonna be aggressive, right? And the way you do that, pass rush and the back half got to work together, right? Because you want to be able to disrupt plays. The the less the quarterback have to think, the more mistakes he's going to make. And we got some guys that's opportunistic in the backfield that's going to try to go out and get the ball. That's what we want to see. So I love it, man. you know, you talking about the defensive backfield, man. It's nasty, man. It really is. I mean, we forget about DeMarco Hellams, the plays he was able to make. Right? Remember, he took the starting job from Richard Grant. Towards the latter half of the season of 2023. Last year he definitely got hurt, but even DeMarco Hellams, his playmaking ability, right? But when I look at the defensive backfield, man, um, and you tie it to the potential pressure that we can get on the quarterback, that's the aggressive attack defense that's what we're looking for. It's just that simple. If we can get that, you know, man, Give those guys opportunity to make plays because that's what they're gonna do. They've been doing it their whole career. Go back and look at, like I said, look at the playmakers. You know, man, Kobe Bryant, Billy Bowman, Xavier Watts, Jesse Bates the third, right? Even Clark Phillips, man. People sleep on. Remember, Clark Phillips had what, about three or four pick six at University of Utah, his rookie season as well. So just playmakers, man, just playmakers on this team, in that defensive backfield, and I love it. And like I said, we can tie that to the pass rush, man. Sky's the limits. Sky's the limits, man. Now the biggest thing, the question marks is who's going to be the nickel guy for us, right? Is it going to be D. Alford, a guy that looked a little shaky last year, but they did bring him back, right? Clark Phillips, can he, compete well enough to get that nickel position, right? We know he's a ball hawk, but of course he's a little undersized, right? Um, or it's going to be the new kid, Billy Bowman Jr., right? This guy coming in, you know, 11 sacks the last 2 seasons. You can't even make that up, but these guys, and he loves to hit, right? This guy's physical, coming downhill. Um, it's really going to be interesting to see who wins that nickel position. I love the competition there, with those guys. But and I think Jerry Gray said it best: bringing in talented guys, from the draft, right? Because I love what Matt Ryan used to always say this, right? You only rent out that locker space, right? It's not yours. Every year you're trying to earn your spot again. So same thing could be said for Alford and Clark Phillips when Billy Bowman Jr. coming in, right? And they raise their level of play. And if they raise their level of play, that means the defense gets better. That's what you want. That's why you want competition. That's the reason you want competition, because if you just got the spot, you ain't got nobody to compete against, you're not going to play as hard as you need to play and to raise your level of play. So what Jerry Gray said, I really wholeheartedly believe in that. Competition brings out the best in everybody, and that's what we want to see. And so that competition for the nickel spot is going to be huge. The competition for the safety beside Jesse Bates is going to be huge because we picked up a veteran in Jordan Fuller, right? But then you look at a guy like Xavier Watts, like I ain't planning on sitting on the bench. So the competition there is going to be huge as well. So looking at the competition, those two spots, I think is going to raise the level of play for all our players. And when the best man win, it was earned. It really was. So that's what you want to see. We got James said Malik Verdon. Yes, yes, another guy, man, another guy. He might be the outside man looking in, man, because of the depth we got at the safety position. But I do like his tape. I do like his film. I just don't know if we got a spot for him. Maybe on the practice squad. Definitely. Georgia boy, Georgia Texas boy said if Newsel doesn't sign the tender, could Joshua Gray be the starting center? That is really interesting that Newsel have not signed his tender yet. That's interesting. If he don't sign it, that means he don't want to play because the Falcons can match any offer that they get from another team. So, um, but I like the competition there as well, right? Um, I don't know if Joshua Gray could come in and be day one starter, but if he beats out Ryan Newsel, that means once again, like I said, the competition and level of play. We know Ryan Newsel played 8 games last year and was solid. He wasn't perfect, but he was solid. So, but I still believe he needed competition, and if Joshua Gray can beat him out, that means Joshua Gray is going to be pretty good because we talking about a guy who started for the Atlanta Falcons eight games last year, and held his own pretty much. You see, we got James. Some of the old guys are getting out. You say so. You say guys like offer getting cut. He can't tackle, and yeah, we want to see, man. They brought him back. They brought King back as well. Um, I like the depth in the defensive backfield. I really do. Said Alford, CP3, and Brooks could be on the practice squad. I can tell you this much, man. Practice squad is dangerous for some of your guys because they can get poached easily. We saw what happened to Zion Lowe last year. You get drafted or signed, and then you get put on the practice squad. You might be somebody going to take you because they want that depth, right? So that's why um, he said D'Angelo Malone could be practice squad. Could be, could be. You got to see the breakdown of the roster, right? What I always like to do when I talk about roster construction, I look at the receivers. How many receivers they decide to keep because I think that's huge. Of course, your quarterback because you have to keep if you keep three quarterbacks that take a spot away. Um, Last year was interesting. They kept so many defense alignment, so that's going to be interesting to see where they go there this year with the defense alignment. But to your point, that outside linebacker room already got with D'Angelo Malone 6 bodies there, so it's going to be interesting to see if all those guys actually stay. He said, I thought Newsel signed his contract already. Joshua Gray's ideal to take a shot at the center. I can't confirm it or not that, but from last thing I heard, he hasn't signed his tender yet. So, um, and maybe yeah, we just don't know for sure. But yeah, last time I heard, he hadn't signed it yet. So um, it's gonna be interesting to see. I don't know what's the hold up on it. Maybe he won a long term contract, and the Falcons not willing to do that right now at this time. Um, JPG said he watched film on LT, so that's who want him to be like. Oh man, like I said, man, I said this in the last pod that I had. And man, if he can be 85% of Lawrence Taylor, man, man, the Falcons gonna look like gold. It's funny. They showed the whole clip of Harry Roseman um, for the Eagles kind of shoot a shot at Atlanta. He was trying to move up, but Atlanta, gave up the pick that they give him. And a couple of years ago, everybody, it was the idea that High Rosen might be out the door, right? But of course, they don't want a Super Bowl. He looked like a genius now because he made some solid picks. Atlanta Falcons can be the same, right? First of all, nobody's talking about Michael Penix Jr. Remember last year when the whole hoopla was up about Michael Penix Jr. and the Atlanta Falcons signed Kirk Cousins. They got my now they don't look. Nobody's saying. I mean, if you go back and it's like revisionist history, right? Because you go back and listen to these guys and how dumb they thought it was and how stupid it was and how nobody don't want to take it back. Take it back, please. Because now when you look at it, you're like, that was a really good move by the Falcons, and they're never going to say it, right? Same thing with James Pierce Jr. If he comes out and be really, really, really good, they're not going to take it back. Everybody that gave the Atlanta Falcons a C, D-Led, give Atlanta Falcons a C for coming to get James Pierce Jr. And the guy that they were going to take at 15, I just don't understand the whole. If you got two guys you're going to take in the first round, you got two of them, right? You got two first rounders in one draft. So they just took one earlier. This I don't get it, man. It's just dumb. But yeah, James Pierce Jr. turned out to be really, really good. You know, we can all sit back and laugh and be like, "I told you so," right? Natron Brooks could be gone despite his contribution on special team. Yeah, like I said, it depends on how many cornerbacks they decide to keep. Um, and the fact that some of these guys can play safety and corner, that versatility. So that's gonna bode well for some of these guys being able to stick to the roster as well, right? He says T Terry, I watched that video about him saying that dude treat yeah man. Yeah man. I can't wait. I think let's go ahead and say it. He might be the best pass rusher in this draft when it's all said and done. Right? You don't know for a couple of years anyway, right? But he might just be that guy. We don't know. We just have to wait to see. Right? He got to develop, got to put a little bit more muscle on, but Man, he already got traits you can't teach. Got traits you can't teach. What's up, Millie Mills? What's going on, man? Um, Shout out to Millie Mills. All right, guys, let's go to my last point that I want to make tonight, and definitely let me know what you guys think about the defensive backfield. I just I think out of you know this whole new look defense and the tech that they're gonna do and things like that, I'm excited to see what the secondary gonna do, right? And all these guys just being them, they need to be aggressive, right? Don't be hesitant, be aggressive, be yourselves. Don't think, just play. And if they let those guys do that, man, they're gonna make plays because they've been doing it their whole life. Right? That's why Jesse Bates so good because he just make plays, man. But guy like Xavier Watts just make plays. Guys like Billy Bowman just make plays, right? AJ Terrell keep being you. You know what I'm saying? And Mike Hughes, let's repeat what you did last season, man. I love it. I really do. I love it. I love it a lot. Um, After 2024, it was said that JPJ could be the number one overall pick. Exactly. People forget about it. People forget about that. Um, we just need to keep JPJ Bay from Lemon Pepper, Magic City. And he got an actual girlfriend, man, Rakia Jackson. So I think he's gonna be on his best behavior. He don't want to mess that up. JPJ got the yeah, there you go. See, hey, you took the words right out of my mouth, man. Millie Mill says, I just hope JP doesn't ever do anything dumb in his career, like speeding or beating his girl ass, etc. Then yeah, we're gonna be for years to come. Yeah, I don't know. You know what, man? I don't even know what the rumors was. You know, his outfield issues and things like that. Some people said it was the locker room, but get into the pros, man. Being a pro, you know, hopefully this guy's smart enough not to mess up his career. So, all right, but guys, the last thing we'll talk about today, we just talked about, talked about the new look, we talked about the pass rush, we talked about the linebackers, we talked about the defensive backs, right? But to put this all together is the different schemes that they can actually run to 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 implement this attack style defense, right? The different schemes they can run, right. So it's not a lot, right? We all know the defense they run. You got the 4-3, you got the 3-4, right? You're gonna run those, but it's the way you run it, the styles, right? So when the whole key of when you're talking about the attack style defense is being aggressive, right? You're gonna make chances. You're gonna make plays. You want playmakers when you running attack style defense. Playmakers in the pass rush because you want to be able to do get sack fumbles, strips, right? Pick it up, scoop and scores. You want all that. You want playmakers on each level, right? So that's what you want. You want great pass rushers that want to get the ball. You want linebackers that want to get the ball. You want defensive backs that want to get the ball. That's the first key when you're trying to talk about a tech style defense, right? You want playmakers on all your guys, right? You want guys to want to go make plays. Don't sit back. Go make a play, right? Don't think, make a play. That's the kind of guys you want. I think the Atlanta Falcons have acquired that kind of talent this year between the free agency and the draft, first of all. So that's the first key, right? The second key is we heard Jeff Albrecht talking about it's going to be multiple, right? So I think they're going to have a little mixture of a 3-4 and a 4-3, right? Both of those schemes are probably going to be, you're going to see some version of that, some way, some 3-4 and some 4-3, right? Because you want your linebackers out there, right? We talked about putting Walker, along with Pierce, right? Along with Floyd. You want all those guys on the field at the same time with Ellis, right? So you're gonna have to implement some kind of 3-4 and have your outside linebackers out there as well, right? The 4-3, we heard Nate Ali talking about Zach Harrison and Brandon Dorlus playing defensive end, right? So now you're having big ends out there, right? So you're looking at it that way, and you having Dorlus and Harrison on the end. Both of those guys able to to rush the passer. We seen Brandon Dorless, at the University of Oregon, due to some of the things he was able to do, right, getting after the quarterback. So Zach Harrison, he played more in, the year before Ryan Nielsen was here, right? We saw him flash that towards the inner part of the season in 2023. So he's going to go back to that, right? So that's the 4-3. But the defense that I think I like most when you talk about a attack style defense is the 4-2-5, right? And that's the four linemen, the two linebackers, and the five defensive backs. The reason I like that, and you're gonna deploy that when you got um, a pass heavy team, right? That's what you're gonna deploy because you're gonna put those defensive backs out there. You're gonna have five, and one of those defensive back, that nickel, is gonna be a guy that can come up and do the run. So that's why I like a guy like Billy Bowman is gonna be playing that nickel position, right? But what I really like about it is all the playmakers in the defensive backfield, right? So you're gonna blitz, try to blitz, get out to the quarterback, make him get off his spot, make him get rid of the ball, and then you have those five DBs in the backfield trying to make plays, right? That's what I'm talking about. Attack style. You want playmakers, right? So it's going to be that 3-4, that 4-3, or you're going to see a little bit of that 4-2-5, right? I think they can use all of those guys because I think they have the personnel to actually do it. That's what I really like. I think they really have the personnel to do all these different versions, right? You look at our pass rush. We talked about that. You talk about all the different outside linebackers to all the body types. You add Caden Ellis in the mix of that. You add Braylon Trice in the mix of that, right? You could do so many different things, right? You can do the NASCAR package, right, and put 4 pass rushers on the field at one time, right? You could do that because they have the personnel to do it. So I like the versatility that Terry Fontenot and this front office and the coaching staff have put together with this defense. Now it's really up to the guys, the coaching staff and the players to work together to make this thing work, man. I think they got the pieces. I really do. Question about a big 3 technique in the middle, right? It's worried on Kel London has gained weight. Maybe he's going to be that guy. We don't know, but so stopping the run is going to be key first. But they have the pieces, man. They really do. Looking at this new look defense, the Atlanta Falcons have the pieces. My only concern is the youth, right? The youth is going to be because we haven't seen Rook be dominant for a 17-game season. We haven't seen it yet, so that's my concern, right? But and then the coaches got to be able to get it out to players, man. And one thing that I think I like is you hear Nate Ali talk about take the thinking out, just do what you do, go get the ball, see ball, get ball, see ball, get ball. That's what we want. That's what we want to see from this defense, man. And that's why I just like the vision. We ain't seen it yet. We just hear these guys talking, but whatever schemes that they're going to run, the 3-4, the 4-3, the 4-2-5, however they do it, right? They have the personnel to be aggressive, and they have personnel to attack. That's what we got, right? And if they just execute like they should, man, we could really be excited about what we're going to get from this defense this year. And that's real. That's real, guys. That's how I feel about it, and I hope you guys feel the same. Let's get some of these comments. He didn't like talking to the media. Just love the ball. The same they said about Latu. The one thing about James Pierce Jr. What I learned today was listen to Torrey McElhaney interview him is that he's not on social media that much, and that means he really about that ball, man. He about that ball, man. That's you gotta like it. He had a reserve way about himself like GPJ. Yeah, just don't get them drugs, man. And Lauren Taylor probably came to the game coked up in a couple of games, man. He wasn't stopping that boy. He was coked up like that. It was seemed like he tapped in the mix. But yep, yeah, man. He says Darnell Moody is a mismatch for any DBs. Yes, he is. We're gonna talk about offense next. So please come back. We talk about offense side of the ball. We haven't talked about offense side of the ball much this off season, but we definitely gonna get into that. So definitely gonna talk about that because we love our defense, but the real key for this success of this team is going to be our young quarterback in that offense. Mooney got crazy route running, stop on the dime. Yeah, man, just developing chemistry um with Michael Penix is going to be huge for our receiving core this year. And adding guys like Nick Nash, man, I think he definitely have opportunity to make this squad. 8 yards away, 1K. Didn't notice all our skilled players had the best statistical year this past season. Yes, man. It was, I mean, Drake 1,200 yards, right? Bijan did what he did. People don't talk about Bijan, but, he was third all purpose yards behind Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. People don't even realize that, but he was. Um, then that last game, man, between those three, that three-headed monster we had with Bijan, Mike, and Drake, man, was just special. And it gave you some positive vibes, even though we lost the game because our defense was terrible. Um, gave us some really hope for going into this season. Recon, I didn't know Nash was that old. He would be 26 in a couple of months. Yes, man. He's already played. He's a veteran. He started at quarterback and he played 3 years as a receiver, so he knows offense. Triple Crown, the guy can play, right? He just need opportunity. We're going to see can what he was able to do at San Jose State, translate into the NFL. And if it does, I think he have an opportunity to make the team because, you know, past Ray McLeod, who's a lock. We're gonna keep Red, right? We're gonna keep him because he's our special team ace, right? But other than him, man, right? So I think Nick Nash have a great opportunity. Mooney needs to hold on to the ball. Yeah, Mooney had a great season, man. Had a great season. Had a really really great season. All right, guys, that's 58 minutes, right? So I'm gonna stay up here and talk for a couple more minutes. See if we got any more comments coming in. But guys, to end this pod tonight is how I'm saying is that this new look defense, um, and what we hearing about attack, being aggressive. You know, the Atlanta Falcons have the pieces to be able to do that. They do. Um, Still questions about being able to stop the run. I think that's huge. It's going to be the key. Being able to stop the run is going to be huge. But getting after the quarterback, we shouldn't be worrying about that come this time next year. That's my hope. Come this time next year, we should not be worried about um, getting after the quarterback. And Damar said, does Shashure really have a chance to start this season? Or he will be on the practice squad? Man, I have no idea. I don't know what kind of opportunity the Cleveland Browns really going to give the young man. Um, just don't know. But to see, right? I don't think it's uphill battle because he's picked in the fifth round. But you look at the quarterbacks, you know, on the roster. If they give him an opportunity, he have opportunity to get an opportunity. If you get, because only person that's clearly probably better than him. And I'm just saying Joe Flacco because he's a veteran guy. The other two guys, Pickett and Gabriel, I don't think they're better than Shadur Sanders. So we'll see if he get a really good opportunity. James said defense is the key. Defense is the key. But remember what I'm telling you this. The answer for the Falcons is on offense. Defense is key, but the answer is on offense. I'm on with the prank scandal. Ulbrich could get head coach calls in the three or 4 years instead of 1 to 2 years. What are your thoughts on? Man, like I said, I started the pod off joking about Jack's dad, um, Jack's Ulbrich dad, Jeff Ulbrich, right? Because he really made his dad really famous. You know, Jeff Ulbrich chilling, the new defensive coordinator for Atlanta Falcons. Not everybody knows his name, right? Because his son Jax wanna make a joke on the one of the most polarizing players to come into the draft in in years, man. So um, I don't know, what this is gonna mean. All I know is Jeff Ulbrich better deliver this year, right? With that bull junk. That like Dion say with that bull junk. 'Cause he don't curse, right? He say with that bull junk. So hopefully, you know, Jeff Ulbrich can make us all forget about Jax. I think we start talking about the dad instead of the son. We forget we have Trice on time. I didn't forget. I didn't forget about Trice. I didn't forget about it, man. I just want him to be healthy. That's what we want to see because I think he was going to be a problem this year. And I heard somebody say, which is really true. You think about it. None of our second round picks, I mean, none of our last year picks in 2024 really did a whole lot. So this is their year. None of our picks in 2024 really, really contributed a whole lot. Even Michael Penix Jr. He played 3 games, right? Started 3 games. So none of our players from last season that we drafted really contributed a lot to the success of the Falcons, right? So those guys got to bring it this year. The 2024 draft class need to bring it. That's what we want to see. Fast Recondo, we already got the piece, and we don't need the old ass Jalen Ramsey either. Yeah, I don't think it's a good time to bring Jalen Ramsey in because they will have to give him a contract, you know. And maybe if the Falcons like one defensive back away from winning it all, maybe. But what grade did you get? I gave the Atlanta Falcons an A on the draft. A. They nailed it, man. They got value at all every pick they got. Every guy they picked was rated higher than what they picked them at. Um, and they got all the needs they needed. So, and then they got playmakers. They got seniors, right? They got guys that can come in and contribute right away. So I just like they draft. Just like I definitely gave them an A. In my opinion, the reset has been great from where we was in 2021, present time. I believe this team is ready to compete. I agree. I agree. And if you put us, on the same timeline with the Detroit Lions, right? The only difference, Detroit Lions had a veteran quarterback um, that was really to get them that trajectory. The Atlanta Falcons had the pieces around, but they could never get the quarterback situation right. Even bringing Kurt in last year, you know, he was good for like the first 8 games, then he fell off a cliff. So the quarterback is the key. That's why I say the quarterback is the key. Defense is going to need to be where it needs to be, but we need a quarterback, and if we all believe we got him, that's what it's going to be all about. So yes, I agree with you, but I think if you put us on the same timeline with the Detroit Lions, they had a quarterback in place and they was able to thrive, right? We were not because we just got our quarterback situation fixed. So I do agree with you on that. They have nice players in the UFL. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, we can't say this about our front office. Those guys, if you can play, they're gonna find you because they give everybody opportunities to play. So don't be surprised you see some more turnover, you know, between now and the start of training camp. So there you have it. But guys, let me know what you think about this new look defense. Let me know what you think about Nate Ali. If you listen to what he was saying about the attack, get off the ball. What Jerry Gray had to say, Mike Rubenberg had to say, Jacquees Smith, our outside linebacker coach, had to say. All those guys, what they said about this defense and potential that it can have to do everything it's going to do. So um, I can't wait to these guys to get started. Ricky Minicamp coming up here soon. We'll get to hear from some of these guys, and they're getting installed and things like that. Again, they say acclimated before the veterans get in, so everybody can hit the ball, hit the ground running at the same time. So guys, there you have it. Let me know what you think about this new look defense. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.